Alright, so let's try this again. I just recorded this video and the audio wasn't working for some reason. So, Windows 7 is dead next month, and I recently upgraded to Linux Mint 19.3 from 19.2, and there are a lot of good improvements. As you can see, Linux Mint 19.3. I had to reinstall the operating system because it didn't take. For some reason, there are some problems with the update. Mainly the video wasn't integrating well, and some other things. And a big part of that is my fault, because I had tried to install a different GUI. This is Cinnamon. GUI stands for Graphical User Interface. Now, I never really liked Windows 7 because a big problem that I had was the Aero desktop. Now, this computer is a Dell Studio 1557, and Windows 7 causes it to overheat and die. And that's kind of the same reason why I hated Vista. You needed higher-end hardware to even run the operating system at idle, because it literally couldn't handle the GUI. It was too resource-intensive. Now, I don't recommend Windows 10 for anyone, and a big problem is, especially from like XP to 7, cracked operating systems were a thing. And what cracked operating systems are is a hacker would basically download whatever version of Windows was most popular. They re-upload it for free, except there were keyloggers, so everything you type on the computer could be tracked and monitored by the hackers. Everything you do on it could be monitored by the hackers. There's viruses, spyware, you name it. And Microsoft has deliberately put these things into the operating system with Windows 10. And they are really forcing Windows 10 on people, not just by killing Windows 7 next month, which, while it may make sense from a business standpoint, is actually more nefarious, and I'll get into that in a second. But also with Ryzen processors, which probably could, even the lower end ones like the Ryzen 3 could probably very well handle Windows 7 well. But they released an update so you can't use the newer processors with Windows 7. Barnacle Nerdgasm touched on this, and he did a really good video. Go check it out. I forget the name of it. I'm not associated with him by any chance, or by any means. And it's really a shame that this is what Microsoft is doing. They haven't made a good operating system, in my opinion, since XP. I've used 93, 95, Millennium. I think it was Millennium. And XP is really the last one I used as an everyday operating system for me. I've used Mac a couple times, never really liked it too much. But I would recommend you use that in the form of a Hackintosh if you know what you're doing, or if you know someone who knows what they're doing. Simply because the operating system is better than Windows in every sense of the word. I don't like Apple's hardware, though. It's very underpowered yet overpriced. So the price you're paying, you could literally buy something for half the price that's more powerful. And that's kind of why I hate Apple. Their software is great. It is Unix-based, so of course it is. And that does... anything Unix-based really works a lot better. It's more lightweight. It's more easier on resources compared to whatever the fuck Windows is doing. And yeah, so Linux Mint 19.3 added some shit, and the reason why I ultimately went with Linux Mint is because it does everything I need it to do. It has all the video codecs, so I can watch any video file. It has everything I need baked in. And if we go to applets here, this is the Sin 7 start menu, so as you can see, it gives the look of Windows 7. And that's what I have here. The other reason why I like Linux a lot better is if I go to settings, and even this is easier than Windows. You got your graphics tab, you got your display. Everything's just very easy to get to. And as you can see on touchpad, I have custom acceleration on, and that's why my mouse is so fast, even though I'm using a cheap computer. On Windows, my mouse is very slow. Even with the proper drivers installed, it's a pain in my fucking ass. It's much easier to get to the file system. It's much easier to navigate. It's just a better operating system in general. Now, I've tried other ones, Ubuntu, Pop! OS, never really did it for me. Ubuntu in general, I've always had a problem with, for whatever reason. The keyring, I think it is, when you log into your operating system, sometimes the password doesn't take for some reason. And I've had that problem with Ubuntu and every flavor of Ubuntu, and that's really not the Ubuntu Budgie's fault at this point, and I've talked to the team on Discord or whatever the fuck they use, and I've told them that I'm having that problem, and they're like, well, we don't know, we're not having... I'm like, the problem is Ubuntu. Like, I don't know why it's a problem. I don't write software, it's something I'm trying to get into. My problem with Windows after XP it was harder to get into the settings. They moved too many fucking things around for me to know where the fuck I'm going, and it just became a mess. It wasn't as simple as I remember it being. It was harder to use, and around Vista is when I switched to, I forget what version of Debian it was at the time, and I've really been using Linux as my main operating system since then. So I'm by no means a novice user, but I do enjoy the simplicity of Linux Mint and something simple. And that's really what I want in an operating system, is it to be stable, simple. I just install it, I install my programs, and it just fucking works, and I don't have to do anything besides that. Maybe tweak a couple settings, get it to look like the way I want. Like, as you can see, I have black borders, everything's gray. I really like that. It's very easy to use, ultimately, compared to anything Windows has ever made. And, in high school, I was very good at art with paper, pencils, colored pencils, chalk, and stuff like that. So one of the things I'm trying to do that I have to get a graphics pad to do is basically drawing, so I can do that with Krita. If I need to manipulate photos, I can use GIMP. There's Inkscape for like vector graphics and shit like that. If I want to make an ebook, first off I can write it with LibreOffice Writer, and then I can go into graphics and use Scribus, I don't fucking know how to pronounce that. Also, one of the things that's new is 19.3 dropped GIMP, so I installed that through Flatpak, by the way, and they went with drawing. And drawing is literally just Microsoft Paint. So, the most used programs I've ever used on Windows was Microsoft Paint and Solitaire and Mines. So, I don't play games on my computer, it's mostly for work. I have a handful of consoles. I have a Wii U, a GameCube, PS2, and a PS3. And I know you can like run your games at like 150 frames per second on this massive $5,000 computer. I don't give a fuck, because I can't own my games. And that's kind of the problem I have mostly with Windows 10 and software in general these days. Is also they added G Note instead of the old Note thing, so it's better for 1440p and 4K displays. Where was I going? I don't know. You can see Solitaire. If software is becoming to the point where you are not the consumer anymore, you are the fucking product. And that is a problem. I don't have an Alexa or any smart speakers. I refuse to buy them. I do have an Apple TV. I turned Siri off, so if I want to search something, I just do it manually. I'm fine with that. The touchpad really makes it easy to do that too, by the way. I stick with consoles because even though I can't run my games at 150 frames per second, I don't give a shit. Is it 30 frames per second, 20 frames per second? I don't give a fuck, as long as I can play it and enjoy my free time. That's ultimately all I care about. You can do CAD work. You can do Blender. You can do video editing. You can do all that shit on Linux. It might not be what you're used to with, say, Windows. And there might be some features missing. But ultimately, you can get around and do it if you are actually willing to learn. Thankfully for me, I never really got into any of this shit until recently. It's something I want to learn. And I'm on Linux, so it's very cost efficient to get into. So I'll get into what I mean in that in a second. I'm going to let this load. There we go. So you have CAD here. You can, there's some examples of shit you can do. I'm gonna plug this in, I'll be right back. What was I talking about now? So, I don't want this video to be too long, but Linux Mint is a very stable operating system. It is capable of doing everything I need to do, so check my social media, check YouTube, listen to music, rip CDs, and make them digital so I can put it on anything. It does everything I need to do, and it is very user-friendly. And that is great for beginners and for experts. Especially if you're like me and you've been using it for a while, and yes, you know how to use a terminal, but you're very fucking lazy and you just want things to, click and it's done. And, I know that sounds kind of noobish, novice. If you don't know what noob is, look it up. I sound like a noob saying that, but at the end of the day, I'm very fucking lazy, and I just want to install my operating system, install my programs, tweak it to look the way I want, and then forget about it. Not have to do anything really maintenance-wise other than update a couple things here and there, and that's it. And as I posted on Twitter the other day when I was updating this, I can work and update. I can't do that in Windows. I have to stop what the fuck I'm doing and update my fucking computer, and that is, if you are working, not good. It is a pain in the ass because it takes away from your time. And there's no way to plan, I'm going to update this because it might not abide by what you set. In Windows, there's a thing where you can set, like, only update now or between this time. Sometimes it doesn't even fucking abide by that. Sometimes it's just like, fuck you, I'm updating now. And, I've really come to hate Microsoft to the point where I don't really use anything better. Considering getting an Xbox, not getting one anytime soon. I'm probably going to wait for the next one to come out because it's supposed to be fully backwards compatible. We'll see. There are a handful of games I want to play for the Xbox, but I've never seen a real reason to go out and spend money on it. And that's kind of the problem with Microsoft, is not just the Xbox, but everything they do. It's like, why should I fucking use this? I use Outlook, but there's a fake identity profile under it, so there's nothing that can be traced back to me, and I just use it for, like, Twitter and shit like that. Things that I don't want them knowing anything about me. It's just like, here's a throwaway email. And I use Microsoft fonts on LibreOffice because I like Microsoft fonts. So, I'm not saying Microsoft's not worth a shit. In terms of software, there are some things they do well. The fonts are good. The Outlook's pretty okay. Not the best. I prefer use Tutanota, honestly. Linux is just better. It just is. And we're getting to the point where nothing's really worth using. if it's coming from a major company, because it's just gonna spy on you and fucking collect everything, and just fucking why? I mean, it opens you up to hackers and shit. I can't tell you how many times where I've gotten an email from eBay or Netflix and they're like, oh god, we were hacked. You should change your password. I'm like, nope, because I know I'm not compromised. Because I don't use the same fucking password for everything. And my passwords are very complex and hard to, just guess. Because I don't fucking use common catchphrases like my birthday or some shit like that, or common words that can just be checked in a dictionary. I also use leet speak. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Basically, if you're typing something, so I'll give you guys a good example of a password. So we're going to go into Office Writer. Wait for this to load. This computer sucks. My back is killing me. So if you're making a password, some people would do like something like that, and that's a terrible fucking password. So one password you could do would be go, but with the, and this is leet speak, you replace letters with numbers. So go, fuck, so this says go fuck yourself, but this is actually a more secure password than half the shit people use. And let's say I wanted to make a password for HBO. On top of doing something like that, what I could do is an acronym. So I could do either something related to movies that I enjoy doing that I don't really talk about, or I could do hungry, what's a word that starts with B? What's an animal that starts with B? Bear. So as you can see, I'm replacing as many letters with numbers and symbols as possible. Hungry bear. Optometrist. I'm probably misspelling this. Hungry bear optometrist. There's a good password for HBO. Don't actually fucking use that, because I just showed you how to do it on YouTube. But you get the idea. Make up acronyms and shit like that, and try to use symbols and numbers instead of letters as much as possible. And that's why I've never had my accounts compromised, because I use a different password for every fucking service I do, and I do stupid shit like that. A lot of people don't, though. And that's why people's accounts get hacked. Disney Plus, when it launched, got hacked immediately, and mine wasn't. But it's really getting to the point where, with Windows 7 ending, you really have to now more than ever ask yourself, I'm going to end this video soon because I don't want this to be too long, why am I buying this, and is it worth the money? And you also have to ask yourself, am I the product as a consumer? And last but not least, the third question you should ask yourself is, what the fuck am I trying to do? And what can I do or use to fulfill what I'm trying to... how do I fucking word this? What am I trying to do? And what can help me do what I'm trying to do? If all you're doing is watching YouTube and checking social media and checking your email, you can just use a smartphone. You don't need a laptop. You don't need a tablet. You don't need a laptop or a desktop. You could use a tablet. If you're using an Android, use a fake profile, please. Do not use Google's services. Try to use as little of them as possible because you are the product, not the consumer. Apple. Okay, you're doing better. Hardware is still garbage. And that's kind of the problem. except for the Apple TV, I wouldn't say go spend something on Apple. I would say go build a Hackintosh. Whether it's a laptop or a desktop, go build a Hackintosh. It's fucking cheaper, and you can do just well. And that's where I'm going to end the video. So, video's 20 minutes long already. Used to it. Get yourself a USB stick. Look into Linux Mint. Maybe look into Fedora. Go watch videos on YouTube of various Linux distros. Find something that works for you, and try to see if your workflow can benefit from not having to pay for your software using Linux. And if you're not doing serious work, use a tablet. But above all else, fuck Windows and don't use it. Because it is baked into it. There's keyloggers and everything. So everything you type, everything you do, everything you say, everything you look at online is getting recorded and sent to Microsoft. And Microsoft has that information. So doesn't any hacker who knows what the fuck they're doing. And that is the problem I have with Windows 10. And why I do not recommend it. And I had something else I wanted to say. I don't know what it was. It's just getting hard to recommend computers and tech anymore. And more people are buying into things that they don't actually own. And just giving up their privacy, security, in exchange for convenience. And it fucking sucks. Because then it takes over the market and we end up with stupid shit. And that ruins it for everyone. So I think that's where I'm going to end the video. So happy holidays, Christmas in a couple days. If you celebrate that, Merry Christmas. And yeah, Windows 7 is dead next month. It sucks because it is a decent operating system. I wouldn't use it. I've used it, but like I don't want to. Because it's very resource intensive and not very good. Compared to the alternative of Linux or Mac. But it just really sucks that this is what's happening now, where they're basically forcing you to use the newest thing. And I know it makes sense from a business standpoint. They want to be able to say, hey, everyone's on this. But it comes at a cost, and that cost is everything. I mean, with the amount of information that's being sent to Microsoft, if a hacker got their hands on it, especially if you've got an Intel processor, your bank account could be drained, your identity could be stolen, you could be completely fucked. And all because of the operating system you used and the hardware you used. I've talked about Intel in the past with Intel's garbage. So yeah, I'm going to end this video now. Enjoy your holidays. And don't upgrade to Windows 10 if you haven't already. Go elsewhere. Build a Hackintosh. Check out Linux. I highly recommend Linux Mint. It's very stable and works well. And again, if you want to, this is the Sin 7 start menu. And it makes it look like Windows 7, so you'll have a taste of home. One more fuck you to Microsoft. And that's where I'm going to end this video.